Learn about money from their parents. They know whether you tend to save up for fun purchases or pull out the credit card when temptation strikes. Since they're learning from you, talk to your kids about using their money wisely. Start by admitting your own mistakes, talking about your family budget, and discussing the importance of sharing some of your money with causes that are important to you. There are gentle ways to help them become wise stewards of their own money. To learn more, go to stcumoney.org.
Spokane listens when business talks. Welcome to Business Talks, the region's only local business radio talk show with your host, Ryan McNeese. Business Talks is brought to you by STCU. Now, let's get down to business with Business Talks.
Welcome to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese, and we're here in the studio with Connor Peck and Nathan Young, and we're excited to have both of you guys here. Thank you for making this work. Yeah. You're both high school students at Meade High School, and what we were so excited about getting you into the studio was our listeners know that Business Talks, our main goal is really to get a diverse amount of folks in here that have really interesting things that are going on here in the Spokane area. And I actually saw on social media what you guys have been doing with the app Hitchhiker. And this is a app that you guys had created for a DECA program. So it really got me excited to reach out to you two and see if we could get you in here. So I really appreciate it. I know you guys have very busy schedules. But tell us about the DECA program and how this project even came to life.
Yeah, so DECA at Meade High School, it started this last year. I'm actually the vice president of it, and we recruited about 60 kids. And this year we brought about 15 to 20 to state for DECA, which is very good for a first year program. We made it by doing an app called Hitchhiker. So basically, Hitchhiker was created last year. Me and Connor had multiple stories that we kind of just put together. It started out with I was at WSU one weekend, and the Cougs lost, so I was sad, and unfortunately, I was having to stay there an extra 2 days. Because my ride, that's what they were doing. They were staying with their sister. So I was like, I'm sad. I want to go back home, but I didn't have a ride. So that's when I said to myself, I wonder if there's like a application out there where you can join other riders that are already going down there and maybe buy a seat from them, like pay $20 for a seat, get a more cost-effective way of straightforward traveling back to Spokane. Me and Connor looked into that, and that's how Hitchhiker began.
And that's interesting because oftentimes the real impetus for folks coming up with some of these really creative, either social media or app-related type platforms is based on a need that you personally have. I know with GoPro, part of that story is he was out surfing somewhere in the Pacific and thought, isn't there a better way to film the surfing endeavors he was doing, and came up with GoPro. And it sounds like you were sitting around thinking, I have a need. How do I get home? Yeah. And you start thinking about ways to solve that problem.
Yeah, so we have a lot of older friends that also attend WSU, and all we would ever hear about them is complaining, not being able to get home for the weekend to hang out with us. And we kind of started, once we kind of came up with the thought of Hitchhiker, we realized, wow, this could actually be really useful to college students.
So how do you, once you came up with the idea, I think what fascinates me is the back end, if you will, the programming aspects of it. How do you do that part?
Yeah, so we have a few non-disclosure agreements. We can't talk too much about the programmers. Right. However, we have two programmers, one for the user interface and also one for the back-end server. So they do two separate parts. One actually graduated from GPrep a couple years ago, and the other one lives down in California. So they would do all the programming. Connor and I would run the business and the analytics and operations side of Hitchhiker. But the programming, it would take about 5 months to get the application back, just bare bones of the app. From there, we plan on going to testing and beta testing in around 5 to 7 months from now, and basically go from there.
What do you see as any of the roadblocks, if you will?
So
Excuse me.
A lot of the roadblocks would be including liability. So a massive ride-sharing application called BlaBlaCar. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's based out of Europe. They're successful in over 19 different countries, and they connected over 10 million rides just this last quarter. Their their strategy is to not be liable for anything.
Right.
So Hitchhiker aims to do the same. We plan to have the users accept terms and conditions when signing up for the application, stating that we're not liable for.
And I think you're really thinking ahead, I think, in terms of that aspect of it. One thing that came to mind in terms of liability is, and maybe this is something, obviously, that an Uber or a Lyft has gone through as well, an application process for the specific Uber drivers. How would folks identify the potential safety of whomever they booked the ride with? So let's use your example. Where you were down at Washington State, you had to stay 2 days, but you're thinking, well, hey, if I could get a ride back to Spokane, this would be really efficient. If I could just get on this app and find somebody with an empty seat going that way. How would the app ensure that the safety of potentially who you're with? And I'm guessing, I don't know the answer, but I'm guessing Uber and Lyft deal with that as well.
Mm-hmm. So on our application, we actually have a ratings and reviews option. So you can basically look at their make and the model of their car already before you get in their car. You can you can look through their past ratings and reviews, their 5 stars, 10 stars on their past rides. So you kind of know the overall well-being, if they're safe, if they have good ratings, bad ratings. But with that, so Hitchhiker, so as soon as they step in the car, so we're reliable. We're reliable for their experience, but we're not reliable for their safety.
Right.
That's just like a risk you would have to take, whether you're taking Uber or Lyft. Hitchhiker is just another ride-sharing, carpooling application.
Right.
So there's a risk.
There'd be an assumption of risk if they're going to use that service, and that makes sense. Let's even back up from there. You guys have had, I think, some really impressive success. First of all, starting the DECA program back up at Meade. What other? I know you've obviously qualified and excelled at the respective competitions. Tell us about the competitions you've been in, or potentially even some that are coming up.
Yeah. So we just got accepted into the Northwest Entrepreneurship Competition, the college division. Actually, the specific event would be technological advances. So there was, I think, around 50 50 different teams that I guess tried out for it, and 8 different finalists. So of the 8 finalists, Hitchhiker is one of them. And tomorrow we have a conventional breakfast down at the convention center to attend to for that. So yeah.
And with the DECA competitions, I don't know if we brought this up earlier. We took 8th place. So there were around 50 teams, over 100 and some kids competing against us. We submitted our 30-page business plan. We got narrowed down, and at the awards, we actually came down to 8th place, losing. So the first 7 winners go to nationals. We lost by 0.1.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so it was a close game. All the first winners were Skyline. And from what we've heard, it was just phenomenal making the first top 10 as a first-year program, because it takes years to get up to that point.
Well, I mean, I think as you're describing, you're playing with a wide field of very talented individuals. So, I mean, for you guys to place that high is spectacular, and the idea itself is amazing. What I think you've mentioned in some media that I've seen about the app, that the necessary resources potentially to get this off the ground, so to speak. Let's talk about that a little bit. What do you see as the need for seed money and or investors for this type of app?
So right now we're looking at $35,000 for our startup requirements. That goes for capital overhead, beta testing,
our marketing, all the building of our app, basically. So most of it would be going towards making Hitchhiker the application itself. A little bit would go towards marketing, but we were,
Which, I mean, marketing, I'm guessing, with the social media push that an app like this would create, the word of mouth would probably be fairly significant.
Yeah.
I'd imagine Uber and Lyft, again, that's probably where most of their real momentum came from.
Yeah. In our business plan, we have about 30 to 45 pages of just explaining different things like marketing and exactly how we're going to do it. We have tons of strategies that we're going to use, like from other business models that have already, I guess, plowed the snow. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good point that you make there as well, as why recreate the wheel, so to speak. There's a lot of marketing folks out there. Seth Godin would be one, Malcolm Gladwell, that a lot of their theories would be to save yourself quite a bit of resources and potential success probability, take a look at what other folks have done either in your industry, or I'm actually interested in what other industries have done that might be applicable to your own. So oftentimes that can be a fairly efficient way to save money in the marketing realm. You even look at older businesses at this point, even like a Starbucks. They really didn't in the early days do a lot of marketing. It was word of mouth, and the vibe and the culture created that entity.
That's what we're really trying to get at. We believe, like, with the word of mouth, just through college students, like, hey, Hitchhiker, we use this awesome application to get home, and it cost us $20 for that seat. We met friends. We gained all these contacts. We networked. That's what we're truly trying to get to. That's our goal, is to meet new friends and get that more cost-effective way of traveling.
Yeah, and I think it also circles back to maybe the question I had earlier about potential safety concerns as to, is this driver reliable, et cetera. Well, I think just what you're mentioning, that word of mouth of, hey, I had a great experience with Hitchhiker in the last week, last month. The more and more that word is out, people trust the product, they trust the brand, they trust the logo. And then you've really built up a platform of integrity and trust for the business. Let's take a short little break and come right back talking about the Hitchhiker app with Connor Peck and Nathan Young. Thank you very much.
In touch, online all the time. SpokaneTalksOnline.com.
Snoring can disrupt marriages and cause serious health problems. Call Sleep Better Northwest first, the experts in dental sleep medicine. Their medically approved, custom-fit oral appliances will have both you and your partner sleeping better and being more productive throughout your day. Don't wait. Snoring and sleep apnea can signal potential strokes or heart attacks. For more information, visit needbettersleepnow.com and download our health guide today. Sleep Better Northwest, the experts in dental sleep medicine.
Some of our local veterans are at risk, and they deserve our support. Hello, my name is Michael Shaw, and I'm the Executive Director of the Guardians Foundation. Our Housing First program has housed hundreds of local homeless veterans and provides a safe, nurturing environment. But right now, your support is critical. Please text at 8888 or visit us online at theguardiansfoundation.org. Thank you very much.
Ever paid a bill late because you misplaced it? We'll spend all day organizing our closets, but when it comes to money, forget it. Stop the madness. Let's get it together financially. Organizing your money is easy when you have the tools to do it. Plus, you'll reduce frustration and give yourself the assurance that you're prepared for whatever life throws your way. Visit stcumoney.org to get 8 free tips on how to organize your money before you think about tackling those closets.
Welcome back to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese, and we're here in the studio with Connor Peck and Nathan Young of the app Hitchhiker. Both Connor Peck and Nathan Young came up with this app and this idea via the DECA program at Meade High School. This is a project, an award-winning project, and so we're very fortunate to have them here in the studio. We've talked about several different aspects of the app. Let's talk more about kind of grassroots. If I'm a user of that app and I log in, tell us about that user experience, what they see, what the user interface looks like. Walk us through that if you can.
Yeah, so after downloading the free application, the user will sign up with their credit card information and all their information. All of Hitchhiker's rides are...
Can I interject? How hard is it to get the app even on the App Store? So if I'm sitting right here right now, interestingly, our listeners can't see this, but all three of us have our phones sitting right in front of us. We could download just about any app we wanted. How hard is it to get an individual app like this onto the App Store?
To get it on the App Store after the beta testing and all of that, it's actually quite simple. You basically just have to buy a license through Apple, and that's what we're working on right now.
Okay.
First, we want to get the trademarks, get the domain before we publish it on the App Store.
kind of get your foundation, so to speak.
While you're looking at the app, we really want to focus on simplicity and efficiency. So it's very convenient for the user when they log on the phone. Connor can talk more about the user interface and what they're going to see when they log onto the application.
Yeah, so the user will log on after signing up with their credit card information. All of Hitchhiker is
Well, the way I think where you're going with that is what you would see. For instance, you get on other apps, and I think as Connor indicated, there are instances where you get on apps and there are so many things going on that it really almost forces you to just click off it. Too much going on. But I think the simplicity you're talking about is something I would be interested in, where you open up the app and you know where to go.
Yeah. So the user will basically go through 7 easy steps through the Hitchhiker service on their mobile device, tablet, desktop device.
Mm-hmm.
These steps include, so basically you log in, select whether the user is going somewhere or you're a driver. So basically driving or you're going somewhere. Choose the dates, times, starting location, and destination. Then finally you push submit. This allows the user to pay much less and in a more effective way for straightforward traveling. Also, the user will have an option to write a short description of the ride, choose how many seats are open, also how much each seat will be. And on the application, we have an online calculator that suggests a normal market price from what everyone else is paying and how much they're putting each seat as.
So in a sense, like when you said per seat, maybe what the demand is, we keep using the example from Washington State. I don't know if we mentioned that it looks like both of you guys are going to go end up at Washington State, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
They'll be lucky to have you guys. But we keep using the example that the idea, Connor, that you needed that ride from Washington State. So using that example, once you get into the user interface, you might see that a Subaru Forester or something like that has 3 available seats, and then the price per seat is XYZ. Yeah. Okay, so that's what you'd see, and then I could choose. I'm going to sit.
List of different rides.
Okay, I'm going to sit in the back seat or front seat. It sounded like you can choose even your seating, like an airplane.
So we'll have an aviation style platform where
talk to me about that.
The users can either, the drivers can upcharge or downcharge each seat. So, shotgun, I guess, is probably going to be more expensive.
Yeah, to be in the front.
Yeah.
First class.
Yeah, first class shotgun.
But do they get sodas and chips in the front seat?
If they bring them, I guess. But so this will kind of, I guess, provide more comfortable experience for the users, because riding with strangers, you never know, But being able to make friends with these new people could always be another way. Yeah, an advantage.
Oh, I actually see that engagement aspect of your app is phenomenal. I really do. I think once this app takes off and people really see the efficiency of it, I really think that engagement will create that word of mouth. And after seeing the video on social media, and I was interested and really wanted to reach out to you guys and hear more about it. I really think that the college scene, I think you've really targeted that, and it makes all the sense in the world. As we've indicated today on the show with Lyft or Uber, they're targeting more of a blanket big city or what have you. But I think the fact that you guys are really focusing on the universities, the college towns, it's such a local target, very focused. It makes a lot of sense from a marketing perspective, I think. I think it's something different, substantially different than a Lyft or Uber, and I like that. I don't think it's just piggybacking on that idea. I think it's a totally different idea if you really understand what you guys are saying.
Yeah, so we wanted to kind of focus more on just the rural, universities around Washington, that before expanding to, the entire United States. We feel expanding that quick could be
dangerous for a company. So at first, we want to predominantly, in the pre-development stages of our business, we want to focus from going to WSU to Spokane, which also is GU, GU to Seattle, UW, and UW back to WSU. And by doing so, we think that we will set up a very strong base and a solid foundation to the Hitchhiker business model. From doing so, with that, we will increase our ratings and reviews because we can supply the rides. Us, me, Connor, and I, the owners, we won't have to focus on going to these random colleges halfway, like down in the South,
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on smaller those other colleges. We want to focus on somewhere that we're living, that we can spend all of our time, money, and effort into.
I really do think you're going to end up seeing the Spokane to Seattle route, if you will. And you've brought up the aviation model, and I think it's a well-used example. Horizon/Alaska does many flights a day on that quick Spokane, Seattle Spokane for business purposes, et cetera. And that's where I really think from a student population, as well as potentially business, as this model plays itself out, that people are doing that trip over and over and over again, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it makes a lot of sense from what I'm hearing you say, that you really focus on this area until you really get a solid platform, and then see what you do nationally or internationally. It really fascinates me at your age to see how much creativity and motivation, and it's really impressive. It's impressive to have folks like you on the show to let our listeners know that you could be 15, you could be 18, you could be 60, but people are coming up with great ideas, and if they can figure out how to package that idea up, and like you guys have done with your projects, put together the business model to really see if you can get it to go. It's really impressive. And I think also our what's interesting to me is this isn't your first idea. You guys are the type of folks that you're the type that are coming up with ideas all the time. And tell us a little bit about some of the other ideas that you guys have had as well.
So Connor and I, so Hitchhiker is actually Connor and I's first application that we thought of. However, myself, I created a business called Smart Alarm. It's okay. I don't know if I want to talk about it much right now.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Big picture wise.
But basically, so last year as a junior, I won the Northwest Entrepreneurship Competition as a junior. And then also from there, I went to the WCU Business Plan Competition, received 5th place from that. But I created a prototype. Let's just call it that. Yeah, a prototype called Smart Alarm, and basically, it's a wireless Bluetooth smoke detector infused with a Bluetooth speaker. So you can use your phone and the smoke detectors around your house to simultaneously connect and play music around your house, like a surround sound feel.
How'd you even come up with that idea? Because I watched the video online and I was like, that is a fantastic idea. Yeah. It's brilliant. It really is. So we had the Washington State story in terms of coming up with some of the ideas with Hitchhiker. What was your first thought with, were you sitting there looking at a smoke alarm and thought, why don't I hear music playing out of that thing?
I was down in Europe, and I was like, so down in Europe in the rooms, there's like 5 different smoke detectors in like every single room. They're everywhere. I believe it's because if like one building burns down, the others could burn down.
Yeah, the
quickly.
close density, right.
So I was like looking at that. I'm like, this is the weirdest thing. And I was like, okay, I forgot my Bluetooth, like my Bluetooth speaker at home. And I can't listen to music, so I just had to listen to it quietly on my phone, and like when I was showering. And so I was like, wow, like why not combine 2 and combine them together? I think it would be very convenient for the user.
What's interesting is some of these ideas, once you hear the idea, it sounds obvious, right? Well, nobody else has come up with it. So it's clearly not obvious. It's extremely creative. But once you start chatting about it, you're thinking, if you look at home building back in the late 90s, my wife and I built our house in the late 90s, you're wiring the houses for speakers, and you got the wires somewhere behind the sheetrock, and you can't find them. But they're there. So 5 years later, if you want to put in this system and speakers, and look where we are less than 15, 20 years later. You're either potentially looking at a smoke alarm that's got Bluetooth and or you don't even wire a house like that anymore because everything's just exposed via digital and Bluetooth.
Yeah.
It's fascinating where things have come. Mm-hmm. Where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years?
So we plan on maybe minoring or majoring in computer science. So one of our biggest roadblocks would be finding these right programmers because, things get behind really easily. So we were planning on, worst case scenario, just minoring in computer science and building the application ourselves.
Yep.
So if we were to do that, it would save us a lot of money, and we can make Hitchhiker exactly how we would want it.
Yeah. I'll probably be studying... I'll probably be majoring in business and like operations or finance, and then minoring in computer science, like Connor.
Well, I think what folks end up seeing is that business does take all aspects, and I think you guys already know that. I mean, there's the business, general business knowledge, there's the marketing of the idea, there's the finance behind it and funding, whether it be venture capitalists or traditional bank lending, the legal aspect. So it really does oftentimes take all of the pieces. However, it all starts with an idea, and that's what's exciting about what you guys bring to the table, that not only have you come up with Hitchhiker and the Bluetooth alarm scenario that we just chatted about, but it's the idea. It's that core idea, and kudos to you guys for doing that.
Thank you.
So you have a competition coming up, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about that, when and where that's at.
So we have the breakfast tomorrow, and we're selected as the final 8 competitors of this technology category. I think later in the month, or April 13th is actually the date. We have a final competition. We get narrowed down. I think top 3 people get prize money. That's what I won last year in the high school division. But this year, since I won it last year, we have to compete against college students, which me and Connor are just super excited about. To make it to this point, make it this far, to go against college students, we're really excited for the opportunity. And then the Washington State Business Plan competition, super excited about that. That one is down the road, though. We'll hear more about it later.
Where can people find you? I really would encourage our listeners to come check out what Hitchhiker is. Where can they find out more information about you guys?
So you can either check us out on LinkedIn or via Facebook. Our video is it's actually spreading across the United States right now just through our Vimeo.
Yeah. Our Facebook shares.
That's how I saw it.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It goes popular. Viral. That's what's amazing.
Yeah, so either on Facebook or LinkedIn, you can find us. Maybe even if you want to, call Mead High School. That's where we're at.
There you go. Maybe they can field all your calls. That could be your call center right at Mead High School.
Yep.
Well, Nathan and Connor, really appreciate you taking the time to come in. I'm extremely excited to see what you guys end up doing. And, if the older generation is worried about the younger generation, I think listening to folks like you, they should stop worrying, because you got it all taken care of. Impressive. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Business Talks is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU. Business Talks wishes you good business and a good day.
Kids learn about money from their parents. They know whether you tend to save up for fun purchases or pull out the credit card when temptation strikes. Since they're learning from you, talk to your kids about using their money wisely. Start by admitting your own mistakes, talking about your family budget, and discussing the importance of sharing some of your money with causes that are important to you. There are gentle ways to help them become wise stewards of their own money. To learn more, go to stcumoney.org.
Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy. How? By caulking their windows, programming their thermostats, replacing their incandescent light bulbs with LEDs. Simple things, really. But the energy they saved was enough to power more than 4,000 homes for an entire year. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at avistautilities.com.